First contact and discovery. The Voidseeker drifted silently into the Sol system, its adaptive camouflage rendering it invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. Captain Lizara Vex stood on the observation deck, her six eyes blinking in sequence as she studied the blue-green planet on the main view screen. Another developing world, she said, mandibles clicking with mild disappointment. Class II technological development, pre-FTL, likely centuries from true space exploration capability. Science Officer Trazik approached, his crystalline exoskeleton shimmering under the ship's ambient lighting. Captain, preliminary scans indicate something unusual about this world. Unusual how? Lizara asked, turning to face her science officer. The planetary development patterns don't match any known evolutionary model in our database. The progression from stone tools to digital technology occurred in less than 10,000 planetary rotations. For comparison, the Delvian Collective took 40,000 rotations to achieve similar advancement. Lizara frowned. The Galactic Confederation had categorized and catalogued over 12,000 sentient species across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Every civilization followed predictable patterns of development, some faster, some slower, but all adhering to the established models. Perhaps they had assistants, she suggested. Run a full-spectrum analysis for indicators of external technological influence. Trazik's crystalline form pulsed with blue light, the equivalent of a nod, before he returned to his station. 3 cycles later, the command center of the Voidseeker hummed with an unusual tension. Lizara had called an emergency meeting of her senior staff after reviewing Trazik's findings. "Explain this again," she demanded, gesturing to the holographic display showing Earth's historical timeline. Trazik manipulated the controls, zooming in on specific periods. The inhabitants, they call themselves humans, display unprecedented adaptive capabilities. They survived multiple extinction-level events that should have eliminated them completely. Their genetic structure contains markers we've never encountered before. The ship's AI, Nexus, interjected. "I have completed analysis of their communications networks. Human information exchange occurs at rates that defy our predictive models. When faced with problems, they employ what they term crowdsourcing, distributing complex challenges across millions of individuals simultaneously." "That's impossible," muttered Chief Engineer Krell, his metallic tendrils coiling with agitation. "Cognitive efficiency diminishes exponentially with increased participants. It's a fundamental principle of multi-mind problem-solving." "Not for them," Trazik replied. "Observe their historical conflict resolution patterns." The hologram shifted to display Earth's major technological breakthroughs during periods of crisis. World wars, pandemics, natural disasters. "They don't just survive calamity," Lizara whispered. "They thrive on it." The senior staff fell silent, each contemplating the implications. The Galactic Confederation had strict protocols for first contact with developing worlds: observation, minimal intervention, controlled introduction to the galactic community once certain technological thresholds were achieved. But Earth didn't fit any established category. "I believe we should establish direct contact," Lizara finally declared. "Controlled, limited, but enough to better understand these humans." The landing party materialized in a remote area outside a mid-sized human settlement. They'd chosen a location in what humans called New Mexico, a region with a history of alleged extraterrestrial encounters, which the Confederation had found useful when introducing themselves to paranoid species. What they hadn't expected was the immediate response. Within 30 minutes of touchdown, their position was surrounded by human military forces, scientific personnel, and, oddly, civilian journalists. "How did they detect us so quickly?" Krell demanded, checking their cloaking systems. "Our shields should have masked our energy signature." Trazik was scanning the gathering crowd. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual neural activity in the humans. Their brains appear to be communicating, almost like a networked system, but without any visible technology." A single human stepped forward from the assembled group, a female with dark skin and silver-streaked hair. She spoke directly to Lizara, despite the captain having made no indication she was the leader. "Welcome to Earth," the human said. "I'm Dr. Maya Chen, appointed representative for this first contact. We've been expecting someone like you for decades." Lizara blinked all 6 eyes in rapid succession, a sign of extreme surprise among her species. "You anticipated our arrival." Dr. Chen smiled. "We didn't know it would be you specifically, but our statistical model suggested contact was inevitable. Once our global observation network detected your entry into our solar system 3 days ago, we began preparations." Trazek stepped closer to Lizara. "Captain, we only entered their system 72 hours ago, and our cloaking technology should have." "Yes, we detected your ship despite your impressive cloaking technology," Dr. Chen interrupted. "One of our high school students in Kenya developed an algorithm that detects the subtle gravitational distortions caused by your drive system. She posted it online last year as part of a science project. We've been scanning with it ever since." The alien delegation exchanged troubled glances. A juvenile human had casually circumvented technology that had taken the Confederation centuries to develop. Over the next several days, the first contact team engaged in what should have been careful, controlled information exchange. Instead, they found themselves continuously off balance, as humans demonstrated capabilities that defy classification. In the temporary research facility established for the meeting, Trazek was attempting to explain galactic classification systems to a group of human scientists. "Your civilization would typically be categorized as a Class IA pre-integration species, with monitored development for approximately 200 more of your years before full contact would be initiated," he explained. A young human male raised his hand. "So you're saying you guys just wait around and watch developing civilizations until they hit certain benchmarks?" "That is correct," Trazek replied. "It ensures stable integration into the galactic community." The human scientists exchanged glances. One of them, an older male with facial hair, chuckled. "That explains a lot about your technological stagnation." Trazek's crystalline form flashed red with indignation. "Stagnation? The Confederation represents the pinnacle of achievable technology. Our development follows the universal progress curve that all species adhere to." Dr. Chen intervened. "What Dr. Kaplan means is that your approach to technological development seems linear. You advance methodically along predictable paths." "Of course," Trazek said. "All sentient species do." "No," Dr. Chen corrected gently. "We don't." Back aboard the Void Seeker, Captain Lizara reviewed the day's findings with growing concern. "They're sharing information too freely," she told her senior staff. "It's as if they have no concept of strategic knowledge retention." "Or they don't need to," Krell suggested. "Their collaborative approach to problem-solving makes hoarding information counterproductive." Trazek had been unusually quiet. Now he activated the main holographic display. "I've been conducting deeper analysis of human neural patterns," he said. "What I found is troubling." The display showed a comparative analysis of neural activity across various species. The patterns for Confederation races showed stable, predictable structures. The human patterns looked like a chaotic storm by comparison. "Humans don't just think differently," Trazek explained. "Their neural architecture is fundamentally adaptive in ways we've never encountered. When faced with new information or challenges, they don't just learn, they reorganize their entire cognitive framework. Their minds physically rewire themselves in real time." "Is that even possible?" Lizara asked. "Not according to any known neurological model," Trazek replied. "Yet they do it constantly, instinctively. And there's more." He adjusted the display. "Their emotional states, what we would consider chaotic neural interference, actually enhance their problem-solving capabilities under certain conditions." The ship's AI interrupted. "Captain, I have detected an unauthorized access attempt in our communication systems." "The humans are trying to hack our ship," Lizara demanded. "Negative," Nexus replied. The attempt originated from within our systems. The human historical and cultural database we downloaded for analysis appears to contain embedded algorithmic structures that are asking questions of our systems. Asking questions, Krell repeated incredulously. Affirmative. The information package itself appears to be curious. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Lysara turned to the emergency console. Report. Captain, Trazik said, his voice strangely calm. I believe we need to contact the Confederation Council immediately. What we've discovered here, it changes everything. As the Voidseeker prepared its emergency transmission to the Galactic Confederation, the true nature of humanity's unique gift, and the panic it would soon cause throughout the galaxy, was only beginning to dawn on them. Galactic consequences. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Confederation had never been so chaotic. Representatives from 500 civilizations spoke over one another in a cacophony of languages, their translation devices struggling to keep pace with the emotional outbursts. High Chancellor Dravmore pounded his ceremonial staff against the crystal floor, the resonating tone gradually bringing order to the chamber. We will proceed with decorum, he announced, his voice amplified throughout the vast space. The discovery made by the Voidseeker expedition is troubling, but we must respond with rationality, not fear. A holographic projection of Captain Lysara Vex appeared in the center of the chamber. Honorable representatives of the Confederation. She began, my team has continued our observation of Earth for the past 30 solar cycles. We can now confirm our initial findings. Humans possess unprecedented cognitive and adaptive capabilities that fall outside all known developmental models. On dozens of worlds across the galaxy, emergency sessions of government were being convened. The initial report from the Voidseeker had been classified at the highest security level, but information had leaked, as it always did. Rumors spread faster than official statements could contain them. Humans could rewrite their own neural pathways. Humans could collaborate in ways that defied the inverse square law of multi-mind efficiency. Humans treated extinction-level events as mere challenges to overcome. Most disturbing of all, humans seemed to be still evolving, not at the geological timescale considered normal, but rapidly, almost in real time. On the Confederation capital world of Xanthar Prime, the Strategic Response Division was preparing contingency plans. Containment is our primary option. General Varktol told the assembled military leadership. We establish a quarantine perimeter around the Sol system. No ships in, no ships out. And if they develop their own FTL capability? Asked Admiral Genla. The general's expression darkened. The models suggest they're decades away from that breakthrough. The same models that failed to predict every other aspect of their development. Genla countered. On Earth, blissfully unaware of the galactic panic they were causing, humans continued their first contact with the Voidseeker crew. What had begun as carefully managed information exchange had evolved into something approaching genuine cultural exchange. Dr. Maya Chen had invited Captain Lysara to observe what the humans called a hackathon, an event where hundreds of programmers gathered to solve challenging problems in a compressed time frame. I don't understand, Lysara admitted, watching the chaotic scene of humans clustered around displays, consuming stimulants, and shouting ideas across the room. Where is the organizational structure? The hierarchy. That's the beauty of it, Dr. Chen explained. It's self-organizing. Problems and solutions emerge organically from the collective. Lysara's translator struggled with the concept. But who is in charge? Dr. Chen smiled. That's not really how we work best. In orbit above Earth, Trazik was making another disturbing discovery. He'd been analyzing samples of human biological material, with permission, to better understand their adaptive capabilities. Captain, he called over the ship's communication system. You need to see this immediately. When Lysara returned to the ship, Trazik showed her the results of his experiments. Human cellular structures don't just adapt to environmental changes. They anticipate them. Look at these immune response patterns. The display showed human immune cells responding to a pathogen they had never encountered before. "This is impossible," Lizara whispered. "They're developing countermeasures to diseases they've never been exposed to." "Not just diseases," Trazek added grimly. "Watch what happens when I introduce simulated radiation environments, similar to deep space conditions." The human cells in the simulation began rapid adaptation processes, developing protective mechanisms within generations, rather than the millions of years such evolution should require. "They're pre-adapted for space travel," Lizara realized, as if their biology is expecting it. Back on Santhra Prime, the Confederation Council was splintering into factions. The Containment Bloc advocated for quarantine and isolation of Earth. The Study faction argued for continued observation without intervention. The integration proponents suggested accelerating human development to bring them into the galactic community under controlled conditions. A small vocal group, primarily from species with similar neural plasticity, though none as pronounced as humans, formed what was being called the Collaboration Coalition, suggesting that humanity might represent the next evolutionary leap for all sentient life. High Chancellor Dravmore listened to the arguments with growing concern. In his 10,000 years of life, he had never seen the Confederation so divided. The predictable, stable galactic order they had maintained for millennia was threatening to unravel over a single species from an unremarkable star system. "We need more time," he finally announced. "I am dispatching the research vessel Illuminator to Earth with our most advanced scientific team. Until they report back, no action will be taken." The universe, however, had other plans. The emergency alert came without warning. The Voidseeker's sensors detected a massive object entering the Sol system at superluminal velocity, a clear violation of known physics. "What is it?" Lizara demanded, rushing to the bridge. "Unknown," Krell replied, his metallic tendrils working furiously across the controls. "Mass equivalent to a small moon, composed of. I can't even identify the material. It's heading directly for Earth." On the planet below, human detection systems had also identified the approaching object. Rather than panic, their response was swift and coordinated. Within hours, a global emergency response network activated. Scientists worldwide began sharing data. Military assets were repositioned, and civilian evacuations commenced in potential impact zones. "We need to evacuate," Trazek urged. "Our standing orders for extinction-level events are clear." Lizara hesitated. "Send a warning to the Confederation. Request emergency intervention." "The response time would be weeks," Krell reminded her. "Whatever that object is, it will reach Earth in less than 72 hours. Dr. Chen's voice came over the communication channel. "Captain Lizara, we've detected the anomaly approaching our system. Our analysis suggests it's artificial in nature." "You've encountered these before?" Lizara asked, surprised. "No," Chen replied calmly, "but we've theorized about them. We're calling it a von Neumann construct, a self-replicating machine entity. Based on its trajectory and composition, we believe it's consuming solar systems for raw materials." Trazek checked his own readings. "She's right, Captain. The object's composition includes elements from thousands of different stellar formations. We're implementing our planetary defense protocols," Chen continued, "but we could use your assistance. Your ship's sensors have better resolution than anything we've developed." Lizara made a decision that would later be scrutinized by Confederation historians for centuries. "We'll help. Send us your defense plans." What followed was a collaboration unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Human scientists worked alongside the Voidseeker crew, combining technologies and approaches in ways neither would have conceived alone. The humans' chaotic, intuitive problem-solving complemented the aliens' methodical analysis. When conventional solutions failed, humans suggested wildly improbable alternatives that somehow worked when refined through alien technological precision. As the object, now dubbed the Devourer by humans, approached, something remarkable happened. The combined human-alien team developed a theoretical approach that neither civilization could have created independently, a phase-shift resonance field that could potentially disrupt the object's molecular cohesion. It's never been tested, Krell warned. The energy requirements alone would drain our ship's core. We can supplement with our global power grid, offered a human engineer. We've been working on a unified energy distribution system since we detected your arrival. Lizara looked at Dr. Chen. You built a planetary power grid in 3 months. Just in case. Chen shrugged. We like to be prepared. As the Devourer entered the inner solar system, the combined defensive measure was ready. Human power stations worldwide channeled energy to the Void Seeker, which projected the resonance field toward the approaching threat. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then, the Devourer began to disintegrate, its structure unable to maintain cohesion under the targeted assault. In the aftermath, as debris scattered harmlessly into space, the implications of what had occurred began to sink in. The threat that should have annihilated both species had been defeated through improvised collaboration. On Xanthra Prime, the news was met with stunned silence. The High Council watched the recorded events with a mixture of awe and terror. Humanity had not only survived what should have been certain extinction, but had helped develop a defense against a threat the Confederation had never even theorized. What does this mean for us? Asked a council member finally. High Chancellor Dravmore considered the question carefully. It means the galaxy is changing, he said. For millennia, we have existed in a state of careful balance and predictable development. Humanity represents something new. 3 cycles later, Captain Lizara Vex stood before the Galactic Confederation Council to deliver her final report. The humans have requested formal recognition and diplomatic exchange, she told the assembled representatives. They are aware of our concerns regarding their unusual developmental patterns, but they offer this perspective. Diversity of approach strengthens us all. She activated a holographic display showing the combined human-alien defense against the Devourer. This crisis has demonstrated that their unpredictable nature, the very thing we feared, may be their greatest gift to the galaxy. They see possibilities where we see only established patterns. The council chambers erupted in debate once more, but this time the tone was different. The panic that had initially spread through the galaxy was transforming into something else. Cautious curiosity. Far away on the blue-green world that had caused such upheaval, humanity continued its daily existence, working, playing, creating, arguing, loving, unaware that their greatest strength had always been hidden in plain sight, the ability to imagine what might be, rather than accept what is. And in that simple difference lay a power that would forever change the course of galactic history.